Hello, Facebook world, podcast world, Instagram world, all of the worlds. And we are going live on Facebook this morning, and this will be shared as usual across all of the things. So I am just wanting to double check that we're working. So just before I roll into talking about everything, let's just double check that the tech is doing the stuff. There we go. Oh, hello. Hi, Chrissy. How are you? All right, I'm looking at my computer while I've got that going, just so that I can see what's happening. All right. Hello. All right, so welcome to the Coffee Run Live. It is episode number 623 after what has been quite an extended time off, as you are all very aware. Thank you for your messages, your emails, your comments, everything that has been absolutely delightful coming back into the world after what feels like an eternity of being away. So thank you very much for all of that. I thought that I would rip off the Band-Aid, so to speak, with this very first live, and just share a little bit more, not a bit more, but a little bit about, I guess, like what's been going on for me, what I've noticed, and what happened, I suppose, in my time out and why that happened. So in case you haven't read it or you didn't know, yes, I decided to go and have breast implants a few years ago, and they were really bad for my body, or my body decided that it was like, nope, we don't like those, and my immune system launched a massive attack on them, which caused a whole tirade of symptoms that resulted in me feeling like I was dying, which is, I suppose I probably was, but it was really horrific. I did get them out in April last year, and I went through the whole process of healing and recovery and everything else, and that was long, arduous, and hard, but I didn't die, and I was absolutely a heck of a lot healthier coming out of all of that than what I had been for the two odd years that they were in. So that was a really, it was a really hard decision, actually, because, there's a reason why we go and do those things, right? Versus, not doing them. So it was an interesting kind of process, I guess. And there was a lot of guilt that I had to process, a lot of pride that I needed to look at in the eyeball and work out why I did it and what it was gonna be like when I took them out. So that was all of that. So as you know, we then fast forwarded through to February, I think maybe the start of February this year, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna come back, like this is gonna be really great, and everything was awesome. And then I went and broke my arm a couple of weeks ago, broke my wrist. I actually saw the surgeon yesterday and I broke it in two places. I've got a plate on one side and the other bone is just going to take care of itself, apparently. So that's, just when you think like you've got everything is going well and, things are doing what they should be doing. And then it's like the universe goes, actually, maybe just not quite yet. So it's been a really interesting couple of weeks. Not a very fun couple of weeks, actually, I have to say to you. Hello, Jojo. Good morning. Chrissy, am I okay now? That is a really good question. I think from following Explant, I have done a lot of detoxing and a lot of healing and really making sure that I'm highly aware of what's going into my body and making sure that I'm getting all of this crap, all of this gunk out of my body. So I think, yes, I'm okay. I would say that I'm probably about 90% improved compared to where I was, which is great. I think there's a couple of lingering symptoms that I've got. So I think one of the things that's really interesting about breast implants is that it doesn't matter what is inside necessarily, I mean, it does matter what's inside of the implant, right? Because it can be silicone, it can be saline, it can be like any number of things. But all of the things that are inside the implant, they're all like covered by a silicone shell, right? So silicone still goes into your body, even if it's not leaking. And so I didn't have, my implants were not, they were not ruptured. The scarring around the implants was horrific. And that was because my immune system launched this massive attack on a foreign body in my body. So there was, from memory, and I haven't got the data, my memory is one of the things that is getting better. It is not great, but it is getting better. I think there's something like 70 odd heavy metals and chemicals that are leached into your bloodstream from just the silicone shell. So horrific, actually, like horrific. So and that was without a rupture. Hey, Catherine, how are you? So yeah, so I'm a heck of a lot better now. I feel alive. I can feel like Joe and I have spoken a lot about like the feeling of vibrancy coming back and feeling excited about what I can do and not feeling like I have to have a nap every day is a huge improvement. As well as, detoxing and de-chemicaling my body. So then I go and break my wrist, right? Because, why would you not go and do that? And I've got a plate in my wrist. So that'll be coming out in about 6 months. Yay! The surgeon confirmed that with me yesterday. So funny, kind of interesting. Maybe not funny. So what I've been thinking about in the last few weeks, particularly the last couple of weeks particularly, is you all know that I love the book by Gay Hendricks, The Big Leap, right? And if you haven't read it, you've got to go and read it. It is one of those books that you really kind of need to read, I think, or listen to, depending on how you consume your books. Go and listen or read to that I don't know, like at least once a year. So I've picked it back up and I'm reading through it and it's like, oh my God, like, is this an upper limit problem? I said I was back. I've gone and launched the hot seat, which is going to be so fun on the Gold Coast in May. I have got my blog out, I've got all of this stuff happening, and then I'm playing roller derby and then bang. Yeah, it is absolutely on Audible, Chrissy. Yes, it's really, really excellent. So there's this concept in there that he talks about upper limit problems, and it's almost like about how we're programmed and what we can. It's, how do you describe this? It's almost like what's the most amount of success, if you like, that you can tolerate, and what you're kind of pre-programmed for, and then it can seem like something comes out of left field to go, well, actually, is this what you really want? B is, are you ready for this? So kind of curious, because like the last couple of weeks have been tough with the pain management around my wrist and things like that. And it's like, do I really want to go back to work? Do I want to do all of that? Do I want to write another book, which I'll talk to you about in a minute? I'm really excited about that. Yes, I'm going to run the hot seat, but what does the rest of the year look like? And, so it's really caused me it's created the space again for me to go, all right, am I actually ready for that? Because I think you are you actually? So there you go. Upper limit problems. Gay Hendricks, go read about it. In his book, he explains it and articulates it a heck of a lot better than what I can, quite clearly. Well, it's his IP, so you'd hope so. So that's that. So if you do have any questions for me, let me know about any of that, actually, and I'm happy to answer for you. Some of the questions that have come through it's been really interesting. So there was a question from Kate who said, I'd love to know your thoughts on how people digest information now. I've got a hunch that we need to look at more instant results and lessons rather than longer, for example, like terms, courses, and programs. And I think that's a really interesting question. So if you're a coach, business coach, therapist who's running different programs or courses or writing a book or something like that, I do actually think that things have changed in the last couple of years. So I kind of really started to slow down my work coming on. It was like August, around more like October 2022. So October 2022, things started to slow down. And as you know, I stepped completely out. I shut the doors of the business. Actually, I didn't close it down, but I kind of gone like, nah, we're in hiatus. I'll come back later for the whole of 2023. And then back this year. And I think that things really have changed. And the conversations that I have had with people, my peers in the industry, my friends, clients, things like that I've reconnected with, I do think that people are looking for meaningful interactions with people, particularly as AI has really accelerated and become a lot more prominent in the last 18 months, last 12 particularly. And I think that, yeah, there's the thing around instant results, but I think more what's really missing from everything and for everyone is actually connection. And what I mean by that is not just getting together in person and, hanging out. The connection part is both online and an in-person thing. And it's stuff that I've talked about for years. It's like, I really need that balance personally between doing things online as well as doing things in the room. But the part about connection, it's really hard, or it can be hard, to determine what is real and what's not online, more so than ever before. A long time ago, we used to be able to go, oh yeah, I know that a social media manager is doing the posts for that particular person or doing the content for that person, things like that. Whereas, AI is obviously getting better and better, but it still lacks that heart and that connection piece. So I think people are really looking for that first. I think that's the thing. I think they're also looking for things that are potentially a little bit more intimate. It does depend, however, for your niche or your avatar, your ideal client, your hot cold client, whatever you call. I got a stupid message and I just tried to make it go away and then I just lost you for a sec. Sorry. Let me know that I'm back. Hey Geordie, how are you? I thought this jumper was fitting today. Revival. Because I'm back. Sorry, I got distracted by the message that I had to get rid of, and then I jumped screens, and then I was like, it's going to boot me off, but I'm still here, so we're okay. People are really looking for connection, and they're looking for real. They are looking for deep and meaningful conversations, and obviously deep and meaningful results, and that hasn't actually changed. I think what is different, and I know the way that I consume social media these days is a little bit different as well. Our attention spans we're being taught to have our attention spans to be much, much shorter. So if you think about Reels, if you think about like TikToks, if you think about the stuff on Instagram, all of those kinds of things, in order to capture people's attention, we've got, how long does it take you guys to flick to the next reel? It's like, 20 seconds at best? Do you think? Let me know your thoughts on that, because I reckon it's about 20 seconds. So I think everybody is creating all of this really quick to consume content and really quick next. And I think the thing that's hard or tricky, and we need to be able to work out what we do as content creators and as coaches and mentors and practice owners and all of that, then we've got to work out how we can use that type of medium to capture attention quickly, but then to also, exactly, Chrissy, not long, but then to also translate that into or convert that into someone who is going to listen to your long form content or read and watch your long form content as opposed to just the quick reels. I was talking to my daughter about this. She's like, oh, you should do TikToks and you should do this. And I'm just like, oh my God, kill me now. Not my jam. And the main thing for that, the main reason for that, I think, is I don't want to just be trying to get the number of views up. I don't give a I don't give a hoot about the views. I give a hoot about the people who are going to watch, listen, absorb, and implement the things that we talk about. And so your people are probably the same. So when it comes to courses and programs and things like that, it's the same as it's always been. You do not need a long program in order to generate results. You also don't need to deliver a short program in order to deliver results. The length of your course or your program or your event or your live or whatever it is that you're doing just needs to be as long as it needs to be in order to educate and inform your audience enough or your client enough for them to then be able to implement, right? So when it comes down to like, how long's a book? If you can get your message across in a book in one chapter, why the heck would you sit there and want to write a 1,000-page novel for just because that's what we think we need to do? So you've just got to remember that you're catering for all learning types if you're doing courses and programs. You've got to make sure that you're using the mediums that we've got available to us in order to then convert them to someone who is doing something more with what you're teaching and sharing with them. Does that make sense, everyone? Let me know. I'm just going to catch up on some of these comments I've left. TikTok, oh, not very long. Yeah, we don't have long to... I don't spend very long looking at reels. I'm like, oh, that's really funny. Oh, that's really funny. Oh, if it's too long, I'm like, flick, I'm not interested. But if I'm looking and learning from someone, it's different, right? If I'm looking at somebody and I'm learning from someone, I will sit and I will actually go to their channel or their profile and I will look at all of the videos that they've created, you know, versus just that really quick thing. So I want to make sure that I'm going to a profile or a website or a page that has got enough content in there for me to feel like I'm able to get to know them. Like TikTok, it's a very toxic place. People are wanting realism. I think so. I think more so than ever. And you know, I have been saying this for years. The phrase that I have said for years is that the world is getting busier and busier. The marketplace is getting more full with people doing what you do. So how do you stand out? How do you attract people? How do you bring people through to your stuff when the world is noisy and it's only going to get noisier and there are more and more people coming onto the scene? The only way that you're going to gather and garner attention and then retain that is by being yourself. Which sounds hilarious because at the same time, we also don't want to be too different, right? Because we don't want to be like, oh my God, look at that person. But we also want to be different enough to be able to stand out in the crowd. And the best way that you can do that is just by being you. Just be you. Geordie, so true. We are caught up in the views, not the content of the reel. Absolutely. You know, my friends and I, we will fly reels back and forth at each other. Like if we were going to make money from sharing reels, oh my God, we would be squillionaires. It's hilarious. Like particularly cat videos. So if you've got any funny cat videos, make sure you send those through. But cat reels, baseball ones keep coming through because my son's really into baseball at the moment and I want to learn more about that. You know, it's a really interesting, very quick consumption world that we're in. So if you don't want to play that game, I don't want to play that game. But if you want to play that game, that's fine. Just make sure that you have got a pathway for people to go from looking at the quick stuff that you put out there to then having something that you can draw them through to be able to looking at more of you so that they can get to know you, like you, trust you, so that they then can work out, oh, is this someone that I want to buy from? Because that's ultimately why you're in business, right? For people to buy from you so that you can make money. That's the thing. All right. I'm only going to hang out for another couple of minutes. I didn't think I was going to make it this long. I'm so proud of myself. I was worried I would run out of words. Ha! John will be like, never. All right, Ellie, I've missed you, but love that you took some time for yourself. It was very inspiring. Well, thank you. I didn't feel inspiring. It's really, it's such a thing, because I would never have actually taken time out for myself if it wasn't forced. Like my health really forced me to stop, to literally stop. And I mean, get back from feeling like I was literally dying every day to feeling, you know, vibrant and sparkly and shiny and shimmery and, you know, all of those really good words. You know, there's still a ways to go, but it's kind of fun. I didn't feel like I was inspiring. I still actually don't think that it's, I don't know. It's almost like I don't feel like it's inspiring to take time out because you were not well. Do you know what I mean? But I do think it's really fun to hear what other people see about you and what other people think, because I just think it's really interesting. So thank you, Ellie. She said, what did you learn about yourself during this time away from your business? Oh my God. It's funny, like I pondered the answer to that question, and my first instinct was like, well, you know, not much, which is not true, obviously, because you can't, I don't think it's possible to take, you know, nearly a year out and not learn something about yourself. What I learned, and I think this is something that's really powerful. My friend, Joe and I have talked about this a lot. I was going to say my friend, no. Jojo and I have talked a lot about this. Hey, Kelly. Probably one of the biggest insights for me is that I was going to talk in general and talk in third person, but I'll talk about me specifically. I am not my business, and my business is not me. I know it's a thing that I do, and it's something that I love, but it's been really interesting and hard to work out who I am without my business. And I think that was probably one of the most confronting ideas to try and ponder and unravel, because I really had to. I didn't think I was going to come back to work. I was like, oh, I could go and be a gym instructor. I can go and be a barista. You know, there were like 101 things that I was like, oh, I could go back to the bank. There are 101 things that I thought that I could do as an alternate to being in business, because I didn't think that Oh, Ellie, hey, love, this is the answer to your question. You know, my business, I started this business in 2010, right? So it's been such a huge part of me that it was really hard to work out, not who am I without my business, but this was hard. Am I worth anything without the business to other people, which is a tricky thing to kind of unravel, I think. You know, we are for a very long time, it's kind of like my business is my identity, my business is who I am, my business is what I do, I love it. You know, all of that, and I do, and I did, and everything. But if I was to not go back to this job, right? Ow. Like this job, which I don't look at this as a job, right? I look at this as, yeah, it's my work. I feel like this is what I'm here to do. But, you know, so when I was at the bank, I remember coming home to my husband and saying, oh my God, I feel like this is what I was born to do. You know, I love it. I was doing lending. I was talking to people every day. I was talking about how they could achieve their dreams of building houses or buying houses or building their investment properties, portfolios through that. And I loved that. But I think the thing for me is that this is what I was born to do. at that time. I feel like this is the vehicle for me to do the thing that I'm doing at this time and for this period. And so it was a really hard process to try and work through around, like, do I want to come back? Who am I without it? What if I don't? One of my, if we're going to be really vulnerable, for a sec, it's kind of like, am I worthy? Do I have any worth if I don't have the business? But then do I slip back into being normal? You know, do I want to be normal? What does make me different if it's not my business? What does make me different if I'm not playing roller derby? You know, all of that stuff. So there was a lot of identity challenging thoughts, moments, months, periods. Like, I've spent time in my journal journaling about this stuff, and it's really interesting because I think that we do get caught up, and I've been guilty of saying, you know, you are your business, you know, you are your message. And I still believe that. But I also think that it doesn't always have to be a forever thing. And I also think that it's actually potentially destructive if we go down that track. And it's really sad, I think, to be like, oh, well, you know, do we have any worth if we're not doing this? You know, who am I in the world without this? Because you're a whole lot more than just your business. You know, you're amazing for being who you are and for what you're about and for the way that you do what you do and how you show up in the world. And I'm sure that if anybody is having a what the fuck do I do now moment, which is the name of the next book, by the way, what the fuck now? Because, you know, there's, if you don't do this, then what are you going to do? Or if we don't have this, then what am I going to do? And how is that going to be? It's almost like a midlife crisis, right? You know, who am I if I'm not a mum? Because we are more than being just a mum. If you're a parent, if you're a wife or a partner or a daughter, whatever. Like, we've got all of these labels with how we label ourselves in order to try and create, I think, meaning and how we put ourselves, how we label ourselves and put ourselves in a box almost. But actually, we're more than all of that. But how do we articulate that? And so that was the thing that I found really hard. And I'm not there yet. I don't know how to articulate that. But what I do know is that I'd gotten to the point early this year where it was like, well, if I don't, like, is it going to light me up? You know, do I want to change? Do I want to do something different? You know, do I feel like I've still got value to put out into the world? You know, yes. Okay, great. So then it's a no-brainer to come back. And, you know, that was just what I chose. But it doesn't mean that we can't make a new choice later on down the track either. Chrissy, do you think it's age-related, perimenopausal, all of those identity questions on ourselves? I think it can be. I actually, what I believe, and from the research that I've done and for the people I've spoken to, as well as in my own experience, I do think that there is something that happens. It's almost like a crisis point. There is a trigger for change. And we've talked about triggers for change previously when it comes to marketing and, you know, trying to work those out for your clients. But I do think that for yourself, there for ourselves, there are things that happen. And for some people, it is age related. It could be going through change of life. It could be your children leaving the nest. It could be time, like term in role. You know, for this is my 14th year in business, and forget about the year that I had mainly off. My 14th year in business, and I remember talking to Joe actually about the 7-year itch after having the business for 7 years. You know, so we talked about that, and then just being like, is this it? Is this all there is? You know, what's next? And it doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, that's like the business focus, but there are things that happen in our lives and in our worlds that do cause more, it challenges our current reality. And then it makes us really have to decide, is this what we want, or do we want to do something different? So yeah, for some, it probably might be change of life stuff and perimenopausal and whatever. It could be a divorce. It could be a redundancy. You know, who knows? It could be anything, but I think there are external factors that come into play that prompts us to go, all right, what's next? What the fuck do I do now? What does that look like? You know, what do I really want to be doing, and how do I want to do that? So yeah, that'll be the name of the new book. What the fuck now? I've got all of the draftings on all of my papers sitting next to me here, and then my left hand doesn't write very well, so then I have to start typing all my thoughts, which is speaking my thoughts into the dictator thing. Thank you, Carmen, for the reminder, actually, and good morning, of using the dictator thing on, not to be a dictator, but the dictation thing in Word and in Notes. Bloody beautiful invention is what I was trying to say. So much better than what it ever used to be. You know, trying to use Dragon Dictation or whatever from back in the day. So good that all of these things are just kind of built in stock standard now with all the things that we're doing. All right, so probably the only other thing that I really wanted to mention to you guys, in case you are interested and curious, we have got a hot seat happening in May on the Gold Coast. I am super excited about it. It's the 24th and the 25th of May, and we will be doing all of the fun things. So what happens at a hot seat is we've got a group of people together. We go through each of the people there. It's like, what are you working on? What do you need the most help with? And so everyone in the room, it's like imagine yourself being put on like a seat on stage, right? And you've just got the whole room and myself working on helping you with whatever it is that you need help with at that time. Or it might be a challenge. It might be a new idea. Maybe you need to just spend 2 days out of your normal life just implementing and knuckling down and getting shit done. We've got 4 seats left. The first 2 have been taken by the most amazing rock star people that you could possibly imagine in the world are coming along. And yeah, so you'd be in great company. We've got their like really awesome leaders in their industry and in their fields. So yes. Oh, look at that. Check this, my dodgy hand still with all of